My name is Christy Busby, and you are about to listen to the next episode of my podcast called Fate, From Atheism to Enlightenment. So come on in, join me. We're going to talk about it all, from atheism to enlightenment. Alrighty, guys, here we go. Get ready, and welcome to your fate. Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of Fate, the final episode of 2025, gang. Today, I am bringing you returning guest, astrologist extraordinaire, Carmen Turner Schott. She has a new book out called Astrology, Zodiac Types, Using Your Sixth Sense to Transform Past Life Patterns. Who couldn't use that in their life these days? Carmen Turner Schott, welcome to your fate, my friend. Thanks for coming back. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. It's been a crazy year, 2025 for astrologically, I think we talked about this before too. It has been a lot of change in a lot of people's lives. With Pluto going into Aquarius earlier in 2025, Uranus into Gemini, and the nodes in Pisces and Virgo have been kicking people's butts with health and work changes and losses. And it's been a very intense year for a lot of people in the world.
Intense is a great word because it's
Yeah.
literally been an intense year, hasn't it? I mean,
Yes.
politically, everybody's careers, even the weather, like everything is just
Yeah.
turning and chaotic. Chaos is everywhere, it feels like.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
ground that you stand on doesn't feel quite as sturdy anymore. It's like it's interesting times
Yeah.
out there. It really is. I mean, going into 2026, I have high hopes, but it just seems like
Yeah.
there's a tremendous amount of I don't know, negative energy or chaotic energy or something. I don't know. It,
Yeah, it's this Aquarius Pluto because Pluto's about destruction and death, rebirth, change, forcing transformation, bringing secrets and uncomfortable trauma up, to be healed.
yeah.
So, and it's like revolutionary kind of energy going on. It's just like,
Yeah.
and then I don't even like watching the news. And then, astrologically, there's a lot of violence and a lot of things going on that has to do with Mars, is the planet that we often look at. There's just been a lot of, horrible things happening to people. I mean, the famous director,
Yes.
Rob Reiner,
Yes.
being stabbed to death by their son. People are looking at astrology to see these patterns in people's birth charts, and you can see these patterns in the world, because what's going on up there right now is all energy, and it affects all of us. Whether we believe in astrology or not, it's affecting us every day.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
I
the energy.
I really truly believe that something like astrology that we've used for entertainment purposes for so long is really going to start coming forward as being real science, real
Yes.
truth, real basis for how we can kind of look at our lives in a moment, or or an arc or whatever. Like
Sure.
it's interesting. Let's talk a little bit about your latest book. Tell me a little bit about it. Tell me why you wrote it. What are you looking to inform people these days on?
Sure. Sure. The newest book that just came out this month, December, is Astrology's Zodiac Archetypes. And I wrote this book with my friend and astrologer Bernie Ashman, and I covered the podcast, for us, most of them, and so he couldn't be with us today. But Bernie's with us in spirit. But Bernie is really a I would call him like the past life whisperer. Like his books and his astrology work. He's been an astrologer since the 70s. So he's did a lot of work on past life energies and patterns for the sun signs. And then I've been doing a book. I was going to write a book about Carl Jung, and how he was an astrologer. A lot of psychologists people don't know that he wrote letters to Sigmund Freud about how he was looking at marital couples charts, and as you said, I've been trying to do more research to show that astrology is a real healing tool. As a licensed clinical social worker, I'm doing some eighth house research, some 12th house, and then he was doing the past life stuff, and I was looking at Carl Jung's archetypes, connecting them to the 12 zodiac signs, and that's what this book is about. So we connect. He's like, well, how about we do a book together, and we'll bring the past life patterns in, and you do the zodiac archetype connection. I'm like, yeah. So we just blended together and wrote this book together, and you can learn about the archetypes, which are we also have grids, which is really cool if you're into tarot. So we show how tarot, the Jungian archetypes, which is Myers Briggs. Everybody knows their Myers Briggs,
Yep.
four lenses, how all these personality tools are basically the four elements in astrology, and they're the colors in astrology: earth, air, fire, and water. It's all connected, and it's based on Carl Jung's, theories of personality, and they just his followers expanded them. He had the anima and the animus and the shadow. The shadow work is
Yeah.
from Carl Jung
Yep.
that people talk about, and he was an astrologer. So he dug deep into these things, and he knew that astrology was accurate. He just couldn't figure out why, and he would write these letters to Sigmund Freud. So I've been really obsessed with teaching people the meaning of these personality tools, and how astrology is just as effective and research based as
Yeah.
these Myers Briggs, and that's kind of what inspired this book to talk about these archetypes.
Yep. 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 Let's talk a little bit about the archetypes. What do you mean by archetype? Can you give us a few examples
Sure.
of what you're talking about when you talk about the 12 archetypes?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in astrology, we have the 12 zodiac signs. So, we start with Aries, for example. So, Aries is known as the warrior, they are, the battle, going into battle. So they're the soldier kind of archetype in Jungian astrology, which is the same energy.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And you'll start seeing like Gemini is the jester, the comedian, okay, and the Jungian and and it's that air energy, communication. And so in the book, we match each of the zodiac signs with one of the 12 archetypes. And let me kind of I can pull up let me pull up my I don't know if I was hoping you had a copy of the book. I need to send you a hard copy. um I know that that would also help people to kind of connect, but, the cool thing is that we show you each sign of the zodiac, what archetype, words they go with, and then we show the elements, the tarot card,
Mm,
and it's really cool, and the Rider-Waite traditional deck
yeah.
is the one you wanna look at because it has astrological symbols hidden within the cards. Because a lot of people don't know this, is that the major arcana, which I think is 25 cards in the deck, are all rolled by a sign in astrology or a planet.
I
And
mean,
you can see this hidden in the card. So I'm gonna pull up the grid, because I had a little grid that I shared in the book too. It's in the book, and the if you're a beginner, all of this will be in the book to show you like how to connect. If you're like, what is my archetype? What is my tarot card, or whatever.
yeah.
We can talk it through. Let me pull up the final book here, and I can read through too.
Yeah. I
But
would
we have it like it's amazing because in like Aries, they are ruled by they're the chariot card in the tarot. And if you look at that card, the chariot card is like it's a emperor sitting on a throne. It's the
Yep.
emperor card.
Yep.
And
Yep.
there's in the hidden symbolism. That's the thing about archetypes. They're symbols. They're symbols that have energy behind them. Just like dream symbols, Carl Jung talked about, the power of dreams, the power of, you know, symbolic, animals showing up or seeing an eagle in your vision. It means something.
Yeah.
The collective unconscious.
Yeah.
It collects all of us. So but on that card, when I first started learning astrology and got that Rider-Waite deck back in the 90s, I'm like, "Oh my gosh," because in the card, the ram, there's a picture of the ram on the throne that the emperor's sitting on, that's Aries symbol.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You see this in there. It's so cool.
It's remarkable, isn't it remarkable? Like, it the
Yes.
more I learn about tarot and, astrology, the more it just solidifies in my mind that this is really what we should be putting at the forefront of how to guide our lives and not other things. Like, it really should be
Yes.
standard.
Yes. And I always, a lot of people say, "Oh, new age stuff," and, "Oh, it's this," or, "This isn't science, isn't real," but it is. It's psychology. It's energy.
Yeah.
And it's all connected, and when people start realizing this, I did a presentation using astrology as a tool in the help for the helping professional, and I briefed social work professors,
Oh,
and
nice.
I talked about each of the signs and how they heal and their key personality traits, their Myers-Briggs, their 4 lenses, colors they're associated with, and made it very, very psychological, research based. And they all were like, "I didn't know Carl Jung was an astrologer." I had, the letters he wrote to Freud quotes in there about him doing astrology.
So
So I'm trying to open up minds in the clinical counseling, social work profession, anyone that's helping people. It could be energy workers, it could be massage therapists, it could be nurses, doctors, schools, teachers.
yes,
I feel like we need to teach basic astrology to anyone that works with people in any way.
yes,
And that's my dream that someday it'll be a class that you take and you will know your students' signs and you will know how they learn. I
yes,
mean, every sign learns differently.
yeah,
And
yeah.
this is something that would help teachers. I mean, it would help everyone. So let me go through the signs and the archetypes so people can connect. So Aries is the Emperor tarot card. Taurus is the Hierophant tarot card.
Yeah.
Gemini is the Lovers. And in the Lovers card, there's you can see there's a man and a woman, and then there's another woman in the card. It's the duality of Gemini. Needing variety, always having two things, right? The twin. So the card represents that in the Lovers card, right? Gemini energy. Cancer's the Chariot. Leo is the Strength card, which has a lion in it and a lady
Oh,
petting a lion. That's why, these hidden symbols. Leo is the lion in astrology, and it is in that card. It's so cool. And then Virgo's the Hermit card.
yeah.
They're known to like their privacy, to be analytical, modest, need time alone. Libra, the card of justice. They rule justice in astrology. So the justice card, it's so and so's throne, justice is blind, and that's Libra. They rule balance. The scales are in that card. It's really cool. And then Scorpio is the death card because Scorpio rules death and rebirth in the 8th house in astrology. And of course it rules the death card because it's all about healing and transformation. So I remember back in the 90s when, or maybe it was the 2000s, when there was the DC sniper. I don't know if you remember this.
I
And he
do.
left the death card at the scenes. And I'm like, okay, first of all, he's an idiot because he doesn't know the death card is actually not about death. It's actually about healing and transformation and rebirth, like phoenix energy, really. So people think, oh, the death cards means someone's going to die. It doesn't actually. And then, it doesn't. Sagittarius is the temperance card. Capricorn's the devil
Oh,
card. And that's because Capricorn's darker nature is control. If that's the negative traits. Every sign has positive, negative traits in
yeah.
the zodiac. And Capricorn is a need for control. They tend to repress their emotions and they like to make money. They like success. They like, it reminds me of the movie that's very much a Capricorn kind of vibe is the one with Keanu Reeves and he's a lawyer and the devil is
Oh, yeah, The
you know,
Devil's Advocate or something. Is
Devil's
The
Advocate
Devil's
movie.
Advocate, yeah,
So
yes,
how they tempt him, Al Pacino, I think so, I don't know.
yes,
They
yes.
tempt him with all this money and power and all this, and he loses all this stuff. It's just it's kind of Capricorn's thing, they have to balance work and career because they can be workaholics and they're very ambitious and very hardworking and they love to have nice things. So it's just the side that they have to worry about
Yeah,
is being too attached to possessions, the material world. And that's what the devil card's about, being stuck in the material world,
yep,
really. That's what
yep.
the devil card's about. And then Pisces is the moon. And of course, Pisces are sensitive, emotional, compassionate. They're water signs. So they're very they feel people's pain, you know. So those are the cards, and then the archetypes. We kind of laid it out. We talk about the color personality in
Yes.
the book. So that's very helpful because you can see, okay, you know, what color is Aries, and we also the cool thing about the book that I was researching that I put in the intro is that in the old days, modern medicine, Hippocrates and all these folks, they were astrologers. And in old medical books, they would have the symbol of each of the zodiac signs on the part of the body that they ruled.
Wow.
So our medical and there's quotes out there that they claim, this was in my research, they claim that Hippocrates said that a physician that doesn't know astrology is not a physician but a fool. And you'll find these quotes online. And it's because they figured out certain illnesses and certain people that had certain illnesses had to do with their zodiac sign. And that is a part of astrology too, medical astrology. It's a whole thing you can, research and become trained in. I mean, it's a whole broad thing you can do with astrology, but medical astrology, really looks at that. But anyway, I looked at, you know, it was called the 4 humors is what, the ancients called, the energies of that certain people were choleric personality. There was melancholic personality, there was sanguine, and then there was phlegmatic personality. I talk about what that means, how that's similar to the 4 elements in astrology. It's similar to the 4 lenses personality, which is orange, gold, green, and blue. Okay. These are, you know, these are the colors. And it's just the elements. It's fire, air, earth, and water energy. It's their traits,
Yeah.
their energies. And Aries is the hero archetype, the warrior archetype, the soldier, the crusader. Their tarot card, the emperor. They're orange, they're fire, they're choleric. Okay. Taurus is the realist, the regular person. So in the book, it's hard to see because, they don't do color, but I had an artist in the UK, her name's Michelle Stapleford. She was working on painting an image of each of the 12 signs for me since 2010. She's been working on these images for 5 years. She's an artist, painter, beautiful. So I'd say, okay, these are the archetypes that are associated with each sign. These are the energies, the symbols. I want you to create artwork for each sign and hide those symbols within the art. And we put those images in the book in a little journal section at the end of each sign's chapter that you can look at the image and get a feeling for how it makes you feel, kind of like a tarot, like any kind of art therapy,
Yeah.
which is what tarot cards are. You know, the images give a certain energy. You know, I have some goddess cards that I love, and they just you can you know what the energy is
Yep. Yep.
when you look at these cards. They're powerful art, and, that's what we did. So she created 12 really cool images for us, and, we have them in the book, and Aries, she had 3 different images she did. These are paintings that she did, and she has them. You know, I wish I may tell her I need the I wanna buy some from her,
Yeah.
but the hero, she had a soldier in battle, and that was a really good painting she did, and then she did one of, like, a firefighter for Aries. So we used the one where there's, you know, see the Aries symbols of the fire, and they're trying to put out a fire because a lot of Aries become firefighters, believe it or not. Medics, anything with crisis, they're good in. Risk, taking a risk, jumping in, saving people, things
Yeah.
like that. Police officers, military, you know. So that's kinda what we do. We bring all these basic things and basic knowledge about all these things together so you can learn more. And Taurus, their image is a guy grilling steaks with a friend, talking. That's Taurus. You know, they love food. They love to, comfort and stability, right? And that was the regular person. That's Taurus, right? That's their archetype. And then Gemini's the jester or comedian. They're the lovers. They're green, air, and sanguine personality. Cancer's the caregiver personality, which that's the caregiver archetype.
Yeah.
And have a picture of a guy helping someone, and on his hat, you can see it has the symbol of cancer, and in the background, you know, so we she hid the
Yeah.
symbols with it.
That is so cool. That is
Yeah, that it was fun, planning to do this, and I was gonna write a standalone book, but then it all came together where Bernie and I did this together because it just made sense. And then, Leo's the creator, the artist, so she has a guy with a paintbrush, and then Virgo's the sage, archetype, the expert, the hermit card, gold, earth, melancholic, and, we go through, all of them. Libra's the lover, archetype, and the partner, and justice, and Scorpio's the magician. She did a really cool image of that. I've been posting on social media when it was Scorpio season,
Yeah.
and it's like an Egyptian goddess doing something, and it's, like, really cool with wearing the unique stuff. So the magician, the healer, and then now we're in Sagittarius season, guys, like, right now. The sun is in Sagittarius, this weekend, at the end of, actually, it's like the 20th, um, of December, so we're in Sag season, through the end of, let's see, end of November to end of December, and then we'll be in Capricorn. So Sag was the explorer archetype, the seeker, the wanderer. So we have a lady in a convertible with her hair blowing. She drew a picture driving into the Italian Alps, or freedom, travel. That's a Sag thing.
Yeah.
Foreign travels, and then Capricorn season, is right. Christmas time into January. We're in Capricorn season. Capricorn is the ruler archetype, the ruler, the boss. So there's a lady, on a throne that's the ruler, that strict, responsible energy of Capricorn to get things done and to be practical, That's Capricorn's energy. And then Aquarius is the outlaw. I love this image she did.
That's what
It's a
I
lady.
am.
Yeah, you'll have to look in there. It's a lady. I'll post when on my social media too. When for each, I've been posting the images, but the outlaw. It was the first one she did, and originally we were going to have that image be Aries, because it was Aries a little bit of a rebel too. But I'm like, no, 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 let's do Aquarius. So it's a lady with the shirt on, and there's a symbol of Aquarius, and she's lighting a cigarette, and she's got like a mohawk. It's so cool. Anyway, it's very Aquarius, and so I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you captured it so well." So, uh, yeah, the rebel, the outlaw, the revolutionary, the misfit, and the star card in the tarot is associated with Aquarius, your sign.
Hmm.
Yeah, and you're an air sign. Green is your, 4 lenses color, which is the, air, intellect, intelligence, learning, knowledge, and then sanguine. So then Pisces is the innocent and the dreamer, archetype, and they are, the blue, emotional, spiritual signs. So those are the 12, what their archetypes are, and there's
Yeah.
a grid in the book. You don't have to know all this. We're gonna teach you up front in the introduction of Astrology Zodiac Archetypes is the book. It's out there if you wanna order it, and we teach you the basics and we connect all this. Then we get deep. Then we start getting into past life patterns.
Great, and
So
that was gonna be my next question, like, how does this incorporate your
yes.
past lives? Yes, let's get into it.
Yes. So the cool thing about this is that Bernie and I did a book together last year called Astrology's Magical Nodes of the Moon. So in astrology, most people know, or, I didn't learn it till later. It became a thing. It wasn't a thing when I started studying astrology, and now everyone knows about it. But the north node in your birth chart, it looks like headphones. It's your soul mission this lifetime. It's a placement that we can look in your birth chart, and all you gotta know is your date, month, year, time of birth, place of birth to have your accurate birth chart, exact time of birth, everything, and you'll see this, headphones looking the horseshoe thing. That's your soul mission this lifetime. It'll be in a certain house and a certain sign. Then there's the south node, which is opposing it, and it's upside down, and that's where your soul has already been. It's the past lives it's all the things you've already learned. And that is the energy that you're mastering now, that you've already mastered, that your soul is naturally doing. Like when we're born, we're living out our past life patterns, okay? And we look at two things. We look at the nodes to see, okay, where we've been, where we're going this life, what we're meant to do, why we came back. And we're here to balance the energy of the nodes, the south and the north node. And then Bernie took it a little bit deeper in his research. So he looks at each sun sign, just the sun sign, and he gives you a deep dive into what your sign, what the past life patterns are. So, and it's based on your sun sign's traits, right? So when you look at Aries, okay, Aries are known to be impulsive. Okay, they're known to struggle with anger.
Mm.
and bluntness and straightforwardness, and they go on their gut instinct, right? And they need to learn to trust their instincts. So their thing is to is to have harmony in relationships. So in a way, an easy way to explain how why these certain past life patterns are written in this book is we look at the signs polar opposite
Okay.
is pretty much how we come up with this because Aries, we always have traits of our polar opposite sign.
Oh,
Every sign has a polar opposite in the sky. So Aries and Libra are opposites, okay? Taurus and Scorpio are opposites. Gemini and Sagittarius are opposites. Cancer and Capricorn are opposites. Leo and Aquarius are opposites. Virgo and Pisces are opposites. So there's a six pair. Six pairs times two is 12. 12 signs, right? We're your past life pattern is to learn to embrace the traits of your sun sign's polar opposite.
oh, interesting.
So if you're an Aries, you're all about being self-centered in a way, self-reliant, taking instinct, doing what you want, reacting. But you're meant to learn to have harmony and inner balance in fulfilling relationships. You're learning this time to tap into that sixth sense of you can be bold, but you rise above it by having harmony in relationships, right? And changing, becoming a little bit more like Libra, balancing it. So that's how we come up with this for all of the 12 signs. And every sign has its own chapter. So you'll find out what your archetype is, all about the energies you have, and then we'll get right into the past life patterns, right? And the intuitive patterns, lack of assertion, playing the blame game. We give power struggles, which is an Aries thing, intense adrenaline rush. Aries like that adrenaline rush. They like jumping out of planes, bungee, all that stuff. Skydiving. All that warrior, bravery, energy,
Yeah.
and we try to give them tips. We give each sign tips to overcome, extreme me focus. Okay, that's Aries. Because they're survival people. They're like they don't feel that they can depend on other people. They
Mhm.
things themselves because they don't want to ask other people for help. They don't want to seem weak or vulnerable because they're the warrior. They're the so that's why they have to release some of these energies
Yeah.
and these patterns and balance them with Libra. And that's what we do for each of the zodiac signs in this book. And it's very deep and powerful, and I think it would be very helpful for anyone to read, and you don't need to be an astrologer or know astrology to be able to pick up our book and understand it. It's written on a very basic level,
Yep.
and anyone can read our book and understand. It's very psychological, and I think counselors, educators, teachers, any parents, anyone that wants to learn more about themselves and others could benefit from astrology's magical notes, astrology zodiac archetypes.
I mean, it is astounding how helpful, how much knowledge it can give you, how much it can explain to you why you do the things you do, why you
Yeah,
feel the way you feel, why you're
yeah,
drawn to certain things or certain people. Like it's all there. And everybody needs to understand more about themselves, what motivates them, what's going to bring you the most joy, what you're
yeah,
supposed to be doing here in this life. We're all supposed to be accomplishing things. We all have soul missions, and it
yes,
all is there in plain sight if you dig into your birth chart and you start looking. Sit down with somebody like Carmen who can literally look at your birth chart and say, this is who you were, this is who you are meant to be, this is where you're going, this is what you're drawn to. I mean, it's I think it's more important than ever, especially in these times that we're living with everybody struggling with their own lives.
yeah,
It feels like everyone's on the struggle bus these days. To
yeah,
have something that somebody could read that would illuminate them to so much about who they are on this plane is like,
yeah,
I think, a gift in itself and so important. Like, this is the third time you've been on the show, but every single time I have you on, I learn something more about who I am. You resonate every single time you talk about my own birth chart. I'm like, "Oh, yep, that's true. Oh, yep, that's true." All of this is not pseudoscience. It's not
Sure.
entertainment. It's really a way to
Yeah.
get a blueprint of sorts of your life, if you will.
Absolutely, absolutely. It gives validation, and that's what I do, and I wanna offer this too for your listeners. For anyone that listens to this or sees it on social media, I'm offering a 10% off, on all my consults through the end of January. So it's 10 underscore OFF. If you go to my website, carmenturnershot.com, say that you listen to the Fate podcast, and I will send you the code too if you forget, and you can gift it to someone or you can do a deep dive with me. It's a deep counseling session. We can do a 60-minute, 90-minute. I can look at your kids' charts, your partner, your parents, whatever you're struggling with. I can look at your transit chart to see what's impacting all the different areas of your life. And I record it. You get reports. It's a lot of fun. So if you want to get a chart done with me and see what it's about, I'll offer that 10 off discount for your listeners.
I mean, people get on the train and do
Yeah.
do the deep dive, figure it out. I mean,
Yeah.
it can really just give you a level of peace, some
Yeah.
direction, some information. It could illuminate you to so much about your life. So take her up on that 10% offer and get your chart done and figure out your path in
Yeah.
life. We all have one. And we all have, whether you believe in reincarnation or not, we all have lived other lives on this plane where we are connected to them still in this life, whether or not you want to
Yes.
get on board with that. The more I talk to like past life regressionists and people of that, it's scary, uncanny how similar the thread is between our lives as far as the relationships we have, what we learn, what we encounter, who's the people around us. We have soul families
Right.
that come down here with us. I mean, life is just
Abs-
very, very magical. And the other thing I will say is rounding back on your earlier conversation about symbols, I'm
Yeah.
also learning how important symbolism is in our world in general. It's used more than we think it's used, and it
Yes.
has more power than we think it does in our lives is symbolism and looking like that's a thing for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was talking about this on another podcast when I was talking about the book, and I got down the rabbit hole with this thing, but with symbols, one of the things, people know the pentagram,
Yes.
and people, think, it's bad. People think it's bad, and they turned it upside down,
Yeah.
but the pentagram was a ancient Christian symbol. It used to be drew on houses in blue or, to protect from evil spirits in the ancient times. So that symbol, is around, and then the star. So like the Star of David, the star, what do police officers wear? It's the star of protection.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
They wear, sheriffs, these symbols. The fish, is the symbol of Christianity.
Yep.
Well, that's Piscean age
Yep.
is when Christianity started was during the age of Pisces,
Yep.
Now we're in the age of Aquarius. And all of this is even in different scriptures and different books, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Kabbalah, the Bible. Um,
Yep.
Astrology is all throughout the Bible.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
symbols are in the book of Revelation everywhere. And and churches. I started going to churches all over the world and Catholic churches specifically, and the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac are in the churches. And I'm like, "Okay, there's more to this."
A hundred
There's a lot more to this, right? And it's not, and I have a lot of Christians that'll come to me and say, "Oh, I'm really interested in astrology. It resonates with me, but I'm afraid. I feel like I've been told it's wrong and it's evil." I'm like, "No. It's a tool of healing."
Yeah.
Everything can be used for bad, anything.
Of course.
Food, I mean, we can always make something bad if we want to, but
Yeah.
it should be used it's sacred in my opinion.
Yes.
To have someone's birth chart is sacred because it's the map of their soul.
Yes.
And it's very, you need to be careful who you have look at it and who you have, analyze it and who you listen to about it because um, I'm always taking the positive route. How can I help someone heal,
Yeah.
transform, and become more resilient by looking at their birth chart? That's what I do as a therapist.
Yep.
Um, and that's the thing is to validate for you that, hey, this is why you feel this way. You're not being punished. This is transit is kicking your butt. And people cry. People are like, oh my gosh, I feel like that. And it's because it's affecting life on Earth.
Yes. Yes.
The cycles of the moon affect us, the full moon, the new moon. And where people start realizing, wait a minute, I'm not just struggling with depression. Okay, it's the moon. And you start watching the moon cycles because the moon changes signs every 2 to 3 days.
Oh, I didn't
So
even.
one day you're having all this energy, and the next you're wanting to eat bonbons and sit in your pajamas and you don't want to go anywhere. There's a reason, play with the energy. So, and I know, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, man, I'm active today. I'm go, go, go. I bet the moon is in Sagittarius. And then I look, it's in Aries or
Yeah.
Sag, the fire sign. And I start realizing how it affects my mood.
I mean,
Yeah.
we really should start moving and
Mhm.
in living our lives more in conjunction with things of the natural world, such as the moon
Yeah.
cycles
Yeah.
and the seasons and the equinox and all
Yeah.
these things used to be in
Yeah.
our lives as for a
Yeah.
reason,
Yeah.
and for various reasons, we've
Yeah.
been stripped away from our natural rhythm of life of who we are. We are part of this cosmic dance out in the out,
Yeah.
we are
Yeah.
energetically connected. We're all it is
Yeah.
much more um and it's sad that your religious friend doesn't feel like
Yeah.
they can investigate things like astrology, which could really,
Yeah.
give them a lot of
Yeah.
relief to and reasons why they're going through what they're going through. It's
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think religion has become a barrier to having people figure out what and who we are in a way because they
Sure.
are so filled with fear that if they go down a certain path that they're not going to get into heaven or they're going to be ostracized by
Yeah.
their church, that it
Yeah.
keeps them close-minded and cut off from things that I think are much more natural for us and the
Yep.
real way in which we're supposed to manage our lives. We're supposed to know our birth
Yeah.
chart and know where we're going and
Yeah.
know who we are.
Absolutely.
Y-
Um, I wrote a little, self-published a little ebook out there called Astrology from a Christian's Perspective years
Oh,
ago, or if anyone's interested. And it's about my own journey. It's a series of articles that I wrote for about.com years ago. Because they found me and they're like, oh, you say you're a Christian astrologer. Well, I consider myself a Christian mystic. You know, but I'm open-minded. I mean, to all things, and I've always been. And I wrote the book because of my own struggles with being an astrologer since I was 19. I mean, I was raised, Baptist, and I always was drawn to the Catholic Church. And that's when I got into realizing past lives, and I've already been Catholic, and I'm obsessed with collecting these icons, which I never understood, and all this stuff because I was a nut, apparently. So, there's all this stuff, and so I'm here to open up minds and help people. I have a lot of people write me good emails, but I also receive bad emails that are really hurtful from people that don't like what I'm doing and judge me. And those things make you want to stop
yeah.
doing what you love to do. So I had to go through that kind of heartbreak and that kind of assessment, and I have to get to where you got to be thick skinned and you can't let 1 or 2 people distract you from all the positive comments and
Yes.
the people you're
Yes.
helping. So keep doing what gives you joy and what your passion is, and astrology has always been my passion, and there's been times I've thought about giving it up, but I've never been able to because it's so powerful and
It
accurate and healing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not giving up. I've been through the journey, the valleys and the test and the people criticizing me and I'm over that.
Yeah.
Now I'm writing books and I'm out on podcasts, so
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to another medium on the show a few weeks ago recording, and she said, we're going to be coming into a time where
Mhm.
things like tarot, astrology, channeling,
Yeah.
being a psychic are going to become so normal and so accepted
Yeah.
that it is no longer going to be looked down upon, judged, or thought of as woo woo, new age woo woo stuff.
Yes.
And I totally think that we are marching into an era of
Yeah.
awakening where people are going to start to really understand much more about the nature of really who we are, which we're clueless,
Yeah.
I think, right now,
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely.
Well, now we're into this is the last episode of
Yeah.
2025.
Yeah.
Do you have anything in the astrology world to say about 2025 or 2026 or any insights about anything you think?
I think, everybody, this has been a tough year. Astrologically, we can see why. A lot of people don't realize this. Is astrologers, the things that have been happening in 2025, astrologers have not seen happen since the 1800s. Some of the things that we are experiencing live, and you can find this on YouTube, a lot of different astrologers talk about it, is that we don't really know fully how these planetary changes and energies are gonna affect life on Earth because we've never seen it before. We haven't been here to see it. So there's a lot of uncertainty, but from what I believe is the first part of 2026 might be rocky still, but as we get into 2026, it's going to be, I believe, a lot different and easier than if this year has been preparing us for the future and
Okay.
future live. And this is all the age of Pluto in Aquarius, and it is not over. We're just getting a little taste of I just saw, Steven Spielberg is doing a new movie, called Disclosure about UFOs,
Mm,
and it's coming out in 2026, I think June or July, and that kind of thing is gonna be more common. Anything Aquarius is future travel, time travel, space travel, computers, technology, AI, robots, all this major, which we're going through now with the AI revolution. I'm going through it in my job. We're all incorporating AI into education. It's a big thing. So it's just going to keep happening. We're adapting to all of this now, energy wise too, and mental wise. Things are going to be quicker, faster. We're going to have to adapt to this technology stuff, which is going to be hard for some people.
yeah, yeah.
That's my prediction. Yeah.
I keep saying as much as there are a lot of things to be fearful of
Mhm.
nowadays, like you don't want to turn on the news half the
Yeah.
time because something else terrible has happened and a lot of chaos and uncertainty,
Yeah.
violence and barbarism and lots of, negative things.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
try to switch that and understand that all
Yeah.
this chaos and all that, there's a reason why it is here right now. And then
Yeah.
on the other side of that is going to lead to a much, a new dawn of humanity, if you will. And we're going to have to
Sure.
go through the growing pains or the energy pains or whatever you want to say to get there. But I
Yeah.
have high hopes for 2026.
Yes.
2025 was not like an
No.
amazing year
No.
to any I don't know
No.
anybody who said, "Oh yeah, 2025's
No.
been amazing."
No. No. It was a time of shedding and death and rebirth and change, and people's whole lives were upside down a lot of people changed, unexpected things like never thought. It was a destined kind of energy where we felt like things were happening, destined to happen even though they were hard.
Yeah.
2026, I think, will be better.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I have great hopes for 2026. I'm gonna
Yes. Happy New Year.
I
Happy
mean,
New
like,
Year. Yes.
I am so due for a good year, Carmen, if you know what
Yeah.
I mean. Like, I
Yes.
mean, so many people are, but like, I'm so
Yeah.
ready to have a year
Yeah.
where I feel like things are starting to even out and starting
Yeah.
to, you know,
Yeah. You
things,
deserve it. Yeah.
we all
Yeah.
deserve a year where things are just a little bit easier on
Yes.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of 2026, you always have a spot here
Mhm.
on
Thank
this show. I enjoy
you.
you. You
Thank
are a
you.
brilliant astrologist, and I can't recommend you guys enough to get the 10% off and start
Yeah.
2026 with the
Yeah.
tools that you need to
Yes.
heal, to make decisions, to know what's
Yes.
coming up for you. Like all of that is right there at your fingertips if you
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
take the deep dive and get your birth chart done. Get your birth chart done. It really
Yeah.
will be so beneficial to you, transform your life, really,
Thank you.
make you have a level of an understanding about
Yeah.
yourself that you've never had before. Like, why do I do this? Why am I like it's just
Yeah.
people go and do it.
Thank
All right.
you.
On that note, Carmen, I want you to have a very this is going to air on the 29th, so Christmas will already
Okay.
be over, but I hope you have a merry Christmas.
Thank you. You too. You
And
too.
a great 2026. I will be keeping in touch with you and reaching out to you.
Yeah.
Your book is going to go into the show notes. Pick up the
Thank
book.
you.
It will help you on so many levels. Astrology's Zodiac Types. Pick it up with Carmen and Bernie Ashman.
Thank you.
Folks, with that, this is the last episode of 2025. I hope everybody has a safe and happy new year. Carmen, I'm always wishing you a lot of love and light.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week, gang, on Fate from Atheism to Enlightenment. Happy holidays, gang. Bye bye. And that is a wrap on this episode of Fate from Atheism to Enlightenment. Well, gang, it's kind of a wrap on 2025. I don't know many people who had a good 2025. I really don't. I feel like 2025 was a lot of chaos, a lot of trauma, a lot of people going through hard times, whether it be health related, job related, or otherwise. I'm super hopeful that 2026 is going to be better in a lot of ways. I still think we're going to see our fair share of chaotic, negative, energetic things happen out there. I don't think that that's over yet, but I do think that maybe it'll be a little bit smoother of a ride for 2026. I'm putting it out there. I'm saying it. I'm manifesting it. I'm due for a good year. I can't remember. Maybe 2022 was the last time where I was like, okay, life's good, chugging along. Feel like I'm going in the right direction. Um, since 2023, I feel like my life is just I'm due. I feel like we're all due for calmer times, hopefully. We'll see. I can't recommend enough for you to take Carmen's offer of a 10% discount to get your birth chart to get your that's hard to say, to get your birth chart done. It will really, if you are in search of your next step in life, if you are going through a health crisis, if you are struggling with your career, I don't care what question you have, you are going to be able to get some sort of answer, direction, confirmation from Carmen by going to see her and getting your birth chart birth chart done. It's a wealth of information, and it's so spot on to who you are. If you know what time you were born and the date and all of that stuff, she did my birth chart, and it really does give you confirmation. It gives you insight. It gives you a lot of information about who you were, who you're supposed to be, all of it. So everybody, this should be like standard, I think, for people to just have done. One, get your birth chart done. Two, have a past life regression and figure out what your soul path is in this life. Um it's so important for us to uh stop being distracted from all the bullshit and start getting in to your own body, figuring out who you are and figuring out what you're what you're supposed to be doing here, guys. It's we all have a mission here that we're supposed to be fulfilling. So I'm not going to make this an extremely long wrap out. I want to get to the holidays festivities myself. It's just before Christmas. My family's coming into town and I'm going to go and enjoy some holiday time with my family. I'm excited. I hope that 2026 brings us all joy and health and love and creativity and awakening. And you continue to journey with me, expanding your mind, growing, evolving, and doing deep dives into the nature of reality. I'm super excited. February will be 2 years that the podcast was out, and I feel like 2026 it's just going to be bigger with better guests, with more information, with more conversations that will blow your mind and change your perspective on what you think life is. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you in 2026. Have a fantastic holiday season and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays from the Fate podcast. Journey well, everyone.